Coming up on LiveWire, we've got a great show for you today. We're going to be talking about some really interesting things, a couple of organizations that actually help your mind, and another one helps your body. What more can you want? We'll be back with that right after this. We're here. I'm Ray Tatter, and with me in the studio is Stephanie Ramos, who is from an organization that deals with mental illness, with all kinds of problems that people face when they're either just coming in America or you've been over here for a while. At any rate, it's called Cal Voices.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's good to have you here, and I know that you also have a television program on Access Sacramento. Is that correct?
Yes, it's called Mental Health Matters, and I believe they air monthly and have a lot of great information about mental health and resources in the community.
Yes, good. Mental health matters.
Yes.
It sure does, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, and people have problems sometimes when they're suffering from mental health issues, or someone in their family is, to either get them help or even tell them that you need help.
Right.
And so it's very amazing. It's a kind of, to me, it's like a family-oriented issue. It may be family prompted, by some form of family involvement, persecution, some other thing, some sexual deviancy or something, or just maybe the kind of growing up transitions that people go through.
Yeah, and people are hearing a lot more often, I think, about mental health. We're hearing it in the media, younger people are talking about it, and mental health is something that we all have, right? And there might be times where we're really mentally healthy and mentally well, and there may be other times that we're struggling, right? And so even though I might not have a mental health diagnosis, there might be periods in my life where I have poor mental health because maybe I'm really stressed out and there are a lot of things going on. So even if I don't have a diagnosable condition, there's lots of things that I could be doing to, maintain good mental health, getting support, getting family support when I need it, so we don't end up at the point where maybe I'd have a formal diagnosis.
Well, I have heard that these are right now times that try people's souls.
Yes.
And I thought that was interesting way of saying it all, So is the number of people using your organization going up?
Yeah, so and it kind of depends on the program. So we are having more callers that might call in to our warm line, where people can call to just kind of check in, have somebody to talk to maybe before they're in a crisis. And then we have a lot of young people that are going back to school because the pandemic is clearing up to where folks are feeling like they can get back into the community, get back into the schools. And so maybe there might be behaviors that folks are noticing at school that we didn't notice when folks were at home. So, we might be seeing more parents reaching out for support for their, teens or younger children who might be challenged with this new transition back.
Okay. So what are the supports? What happens? What can I do? I'm having a nervous breakdown. I don't know what to do.
Well, there's lots of options, right? And so I think when we're, talking about having mental health challenges, it's also important to talk about recovery. And when we're talking about recovery in a mental health context, it's important to recognize that recovery means different things to different people.
Yes.
And we know there's different pathways to recovery. So what works for one person might not work for somebody else. Yes. And so a lot of folks, if they're really struggling and let's say they have Medi-Cal, they may reach out to the Sacramento County Access Team, who is going to do an assessment. They're going to assign them to a provider, and they can get the medical care that they need for their mental health. Folks may have private insurance. They would want to reach out to their provider, whether it be Kaiser, Sutter, or other hospital systems.
So if I don't have any insurance or anything like that, can I take, and I don't have any money?
Yeah, so the county access team is a great place to start because they can help finding out if you're eligible, how to apply for Medi-Cal or insurance. And so that is a good starting place, especially if someone's in a place where they're really struggling and need more kind of formalized help.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and for other people, maybe they don't feel that they need that formalized help yet, or maybe they have their own kind of stigma going on, maybe within themselves or their family or their community, and they don't want to go see a therapist or a psychiatrist. And so sometimes that warm line is a great place to call because it's people who've been there, right?
Well, a lot of people think psychiatrist, ka-ching, ka-ching, even therapist maybe, and they can't afford it.
Right, and so the peer services are something that is actually really common in Sacramento, and
Yes.
this is where we have people who have recovered from mental health or substance use challenges themselves. They've had training, they're working in the system, and they're able to provide that support in a way where they can say, hey, I've been there. This is really hard, and being able to share the tools, resources, strategies that they use that help them in their recovery. And so in Sacramento, we have things like warm lines that people can call. Maybe they're not in a crisis yet, but they need someone to talk to. We have wellness centers that folks can go to and attend some support groups, meet other people in recovery.
How do they
learn
know
coping
which one to
skills.
pick? How do you know?
Well, the nice thing about a lot of the services is you don't have to pick one. You can try
Pick
things.
them all?
Yes, you can try things.
Help me.
And I think that's an important thing to consider in recovery. It's not always, maybe not just the psychiatrist isn't enough. Maybe a wellness center is great. Maybe I don't need some of the formal services. Maybe I like the wellness center and a peer support group. And so it's really individualized and finding out what is going to work for that person in this moment where they are now. Maybe later they want those formal services. Maybe right now they're just willing to pick up a phone and talk to someone who isn't as kind of up there professional that we think of when we look at more therapeutic services.
Sure, therapeutic services. And, I can remember I had some kind of crisis in my early career, and I called an organization like this, and they said, wow, we got a men's group just starting right now. Why don't you come on down?
Yes.
And I still know those guys.
Well, and it's really helping you to kind of build natural supports, right? Building relationships with people that you can reach out to when you're not at the support group. And sometimes that's, people don't always have those relationships where they can just maybe they're new here, right? And they don't have a friend they can call and reach out to. And so those peer groups are a really great place to meet people who are working on similar goals that you might be working on.
So who educates the peer groups?
The members or the facilitators?
Duh.
So when we're looking at the facilitators, we are able to provide training for support group facilitators. We also have a 80-hour peer training academy where we train peers, whether they're doing support groups or if they're working in a clinic with a clinical team. And that training we actually offer free to the community. We offer it every quarter. And it is a training that actually counts towards California's new peer support specialist certification. So you actually can be certified now in that role, use your experience of recovery and go out there and help other people.
People who live in California don't really understand what California is all about, and it really is. And some of them, hop out of here and run away. But there's so many wonderful, creative new things. It's where all the creative minds of the world kind of roll down California into California, and they take part in some of the great discoveries in America, in science and industry and all kinds of things. So how much, expert pool, you got clients?
Yeah, this is a quarterly meeting that we host in the community, and it's for clients in the community, just community members really, family members, providers, for people just to come and find out about what are some great services or programs being offered in Sacramento County. It's a free meeting, it's online, folks can go ahead and log in and join us and really kind of learn a lot about those different resources that are out there.
Okay, so why don't we go through what numbers do we call? What do you do? See, there's a meeting ID and a passcode. I don't know how that's there.
Yeah, so if folks are trying to get a hold of just our general organization, this is probably the best way to get in contact with us.
To get on the web and look for it.
Our website, if you're email savvy, you're going to get the quickest response that way. We also invite folks to call into our main line as well, and we'll kind of field those calls and figure out who's the right program, right person to get them to.
Wow. Am I missing anything?
I think mental health is a giant topic, so I think we can always be missing things, but really recognizing that people can and do get better. And I think that's a conversation that we don't often have. I think we've gotten really good at talking about the hard parts in our lives, the challenges that we might be facing, but really as we're in that difficult place to recognize that people get better. This is a temporary place.
I can't tell you more. Working with those guys at that time, the talking cure was what it was all about. We talked and talked and talked and finally got tired of talking, and we really did come to some agreements about what the issues were for each one of us.
Yeah.
And how some of them have explained to me that they've gone through this same process or something like that, and it really helped a lot.
Absolutely, and that's that peer support. Right? They've been there, they get it, and they get it. So and that I think builds a lot of trust, right? And maybe I'm more willing to take the advice or guidance that someone gives me that's been in this situation.
So is there someone that overviews these peers and saying, oh, these are peers, they should go together?
Well, we don't tell the peers who they should go together with, but there are a lot of different groups out there in the community. And so I know that locally we have 2, and I believe it will be 3 soon, wellness and recovery centers where folks can pick which groups they go to. They have men's support groups. They have support groups that focus on depression. They have groups that focus on art and healing. So I think having that variety is really important so people can figure out like what topic or what group do I relate the most to, or which one do I feel safest showing up to. I see. Okay. That sounds like the right thing to do. Well, I find it fascinating that we have organizations like this in our state, and that they're just kind of moving ahead to deal with all kinds of issues, family issues and individual problems that people find in their lives and want to get ahead. Absolutely. And not fall back into some kind of repressed position. Yeah, and we're really hoping that people just start to kind of make that mental health conversation something that we're doing more regularly, checking in with each other. And we don't always have to call it mental health. Sometimes it's just asking someone how their day is going, right? And giving someone that opening to maybe share something that maybe that they're struggling with, and creating that safe space for them. So we have been putting up the telephone numbers. Like this number here, is it just for this program, they call it Community Support Team? Yes, so the Community Support Team is a field-based program where anybody in the community can call if they themselves or their loved one feels like they're starting to get in a crisis. And we actually are able to send out a clinician, so like a therapist or psychiatrist, with a peer. So with somebody who's been there, and they go together, what a peer is. Okay. To help support that person who might be in crisis in the community. And so for a lot of folks, people have always thought, well, if I'm having a mental health crisis, I can only call 911. But now we know there's other options that folks can utilize without having to always involve law enforcement or an ambulance. It might be, how do we get a mental health professional out with a peer who's been there and gets it and can have that conversation with me and help link me to resources in the community. With the mental health crisis, people how deal with that in various ways, anger, not agreeing with people that there is a problem. Yeah. And it can be really scary, and it's being very vulnerable, reaching out when we're in that time of crisis. Sure. And also attacking, regressiveness, kind of like, no, I'm not sick, you're sick. Yeah. And there's a lot of stigma around mental health as well, and so it's, for some people or communities, they see it as a weakness, and so it's like, I can't have that. I got to go to work. I have to go to work, or maybe my family will be ashamed of me, right? If I come out and express that. And so just, again, kind of normalizing those conversations and giving people options of how do you get support, and recognizing that support can look very different. It doesn't always have to be go lay on the couch and talk about your feelings. Sounds like fun. Right, but there's a lot of options, and it's finding the option that's going to work best for each individual. So, also, I go down to your website, and which is a really lovely website, and I find that it also talks about a lot of new populations, people who are just coming from outside America, from other parts of America, which don't have projects like this going. And how do you deal with somebody that hardly speaks English? Do you have people who could help? Yeah, so we have quite a few staff that speak different languages, which is great to have. And then we also are able to utilize translation and interpreter services, so that if somebody comes in, we don't ever want to turn them away. We find the resource and try to ensure that we're able to make that connection with them and provide them with an appropriate resource, whether it be an interpreter, but also I think it's important to be aware of of all of the community-based organizations that serve specific populations and specific groups.
Oh, yes.
There's an organization called Opening Doors, and they do a lot of work with immigrants and refugees. That's their
Yes,
focus.
I think they've been on the program.
Yeah, and so for us, really knowing like, yeah, we can help, but are we the best people to help this person in this situation? And being able to recognize that and make that connection for them.
And make that connection for them is a wonderful statement, because you know, a lot of people, oh, sorry, we don't do this. You know, you could. Yeah.
And you know, I think that we call that a warm handoff. That warm handoff is so important because people aren't coming to us because they're having a great day, right? They're coming because they need help, they need support, they might be in distress, and to close the door on them again, or to, you know, try to send them to a website or number that doesn't work anymore. Like, we as providers need to make sure that we're there to provide that support and make sure they get to where they need to go.
Stephanie Ramos, thank you so much for coming to talk to me about this. We covered the ground.
Yes.
All right. Well, we have to take a short pause for the cause right now, a little PSA break, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. And we're going to talk with Kristen Johnson, who is a yoga expert. Oh, boy.
STEM is the discipline of hard numbers, precise, no margin for error.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to get messy, or just mess it up. Dare to program something internet-breaking, record-breaking. Dare to blow their minds. Dare to try. Dare to fail. Dare to keep daring. Dare to learn the difference between organic, sedimentary, and non-foliated metamorphic rock. Get outside, find those rocks. Dare to be homeroom famous, a high school fable. Dare to send those old STEM theories flying past the neighbor's house into outer space. And for the love of STEM, dare bigger. Dare to code, dare to invent, dare to explore, dare to STEM. Check out She Can STEM to get started.
Freedom. It's at the core of who we are. The freedom to live without fear, to jog where we please, to wear a hoodie. The freedom to breathe. Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
We're back. I'm Ray Tatter, and this is LiveWire, and with me in the studio is Kirsten Johnson, who is a yoga expert.
Oh, well, I practice yoga. We all practice yoga.
I know. As if you take too much yoga, you get too much self.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah, you know what you're talking about. I know that. At any rate, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. And it's good to learn more about yoga because it's kind of like wildfire. Everybody seems to be taking yoga classes. And why is that?
Well, I think, it's become popular, and sometimes doctors recommend you go to yoga for one reason or another. You heard you L, and then you get to yoga, and then like, wow, that wasn't what I expected. But I think more now so than ever, it's becoming a practice that's available for everyone, especially during the time of the pandemic and living in and through a pandemic.
Yes.
Noting that yoga is not just for the body, but it's also for the mind, and it really helps bring you into some self-regulation and more awareness. And I always call yoga a work in and not a work out. So those that are really into working out their body, it's available for them also, but it really starts from within with the breath, and then using that breath that you do every day. So you may go to class 1 hour or once a week, but you can breathe all the time. And so really coming into the practice of yoga with that kind of mindfulness and awareness changes who it's accessible for, who it's available for, and then how it actually shows up when you're really thinking about, ooh, does that really hurt, or can I breathe and give myself a little bit of ease and relaxation?
You can recognize a lot of problems through breathing issues. I certainly know that I have a problem with sleep apnea, and sleep apnea is about breathing.
Yeah.
And so now I've got this device that they're putting on my, and I try to get my part of my and open breathing, but the machine is telling me, no, breathe the way I'm doing it. And I think, okay, I'll try your way. It's a little too long for me.
Yeah.
Wait, I feel good.
See, that just like that, your own internal, like that work in, like knowing when you take that long exhale, that what the benefits that provides. So that's what we encourage with yoga. Most in yoga classes, they really encourage you to inhale and exhale. And it's not really just about the mechanics of, breathing in and out, because you're automatically doing that. That's one of the parts of your nervous system that's automatic. But when you bring some attention and intention to that breath, it really changes the dynamic of overall how that shows up in your body. And so we really encourage you to, take those breaks, take those moments where you can really concentrate on the breath, and then let that internal breath guide you and move you through your practice, through your movement. Because sometimes you go to yoga and you may go and you want to do all the things, and then sometimes you just want to lay there on your mat and just breathe, and you still are doing all of the things.
This is great. This is great. So if there are people watching who have limited incomes, are there places where they can get a yoga class for nothing or next to nothing or a little bit?
Well, that's why we are here with Yoga Moves Us. We are a nonprofit in Sacramento that we have 12 locations all throughout Sacramento.
12 locations?
12 locations through Sacramento. We have a couple in Yolo County and one in Placer that we offer free yoga. So what this is, it makes it available, it makes it accessible. We offer classes that are inclusive for everyone to show up. And we also offer diverse teachers. So there's more than just one style of yoga. And by offering it free, and by our wonderful, amazing volunteers that donate their time to come in and teach, they're able to showcase their particular style and make it accessible. But it also introduces yoga to folks that may not think that it was available for them because they've only been familiar with one style.
That's
so
correct.
Because we have so many different teachers that offer and are trained in different styles that make the yoga accessible and free. So one of the things I've heard a lot from our community is, because of the pandemic and being able to practice outdoors, like right now we're in our outdoor season, that it gives them the space to breathe. It gives them, those that may be immune compromised, it gives them a social distancing safe space that they're come out and they're able to practice yoga. So we're very, very happy that we make this accessible for everyone.
Oh, that's so good. We have a little slideshow. Can we watch it? Maybe you can be the narrator.
Oh, okay.
I'll
Let
go
me
out
see.
I'll go out for a glass of water or something.
Oh,
Here
yes.
we go.
This is
Here we
some of
go.
our community yoga.
Yeah, well, you do yoga
I
on
can
the
see it.
bridge?
We do. Well, we haven't done yoga on the bridge. I'm looking at the slideshow.
Oh, there it
yeah,
is.
I'm like,
Okay.
there's
Oh,
a
there
slide.
you
I
go.
see that slideshow. So this is one of our locations at Tahoe Park. We have anywhere, and we offer. This is beautiful because we have so many different ages that come out, and so everyone is encouraged to work within their ability, to be exactly where they are, and to do what they can. So we do.
All I need is a
different styles.
brightly colored pad, and I can get.
Oh, well, sometimes you never know. We'll have extra pads,
Stuff
extra
blankies.
mats.
Oh, okay.
You could just show up and just breathe. Like I said, sometimes you just want to sit underneath the beautiful trees. This is Old Sac, one of our newer locations that we are so thrilled, and we have a couple of events coming up in Old Sac. So there's different styles, and all of these different styles that you're looking at and viewing in this slideshow are different styles of yoga. They're different, and you can see they're different bodies moving in different ways according to what feels good for them. So, yeah.
Okay. And they move along there. Okay, and I can see that is Old Sac. That's right behind the Old Eagle Theater.
Yeah, that's where we practice every
So if
Sunday.
I can contact you, I can go to that one, huh?
Every Sunday, we're there at 9 a.m.
Oh, Sundays at 9 a.m. There it is.
So, and that's one of our events that we'll be having coming up this end of summer to celebrate yoga, to celebrate all the different things, not just yoga, but it's going to be also a event that's in collaboration with Midtown Association to bring a health and wellness festival to Sacramento. So we'll be highlighting other wellness vendors, other wellness activities, yoga, Zumba, Pilates, and then we're having conversations about wellness, having folks come in and talk about nutrition and mental health awareness. So it's going to be an all-around festival, free, of course, because that's what we like to provide for our community, a free festival for you to come in and, you know, share and experience all the healthy wellness things in Sacramento.
Good. And so do I have to bring my own pad in?
Most of the time, we will have some pads available. If you prefer to use your own pad, yes, come on, use your own pad.
Should,
I think people
their body.
have, especially during this time
Sweat,
of
saliva.
Yeah, you want to make sure that you're safe. So yeah, we do encourage people, but I often have an extra yoga mat in my.
What's this?
Thing. Well, this we talked about yoga being a work-in. So this is what is called a singing bowl, and I'd like to offer you just a little bit of experience of breath.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to just breathe.
You can take us out. I think we only have a couple of minutes.
Put your feet on the ground, and if you're standing or listening all around, just put your feet on the ground and just create as much breath or as much space in your spine. So as you root down, I'm just going to guide you through some breath, okay? So some breathing. Okay. All right. So take a big breath in. As you inhale, let it come all the way up to your crown and release. Maybe out the mouth if that feels good. And if you want to, close your eyes as I play and guide you. As you inhale, breathe. And then exhale, relax your shoulders, your jaw, the skin around your face. Breathe. Inhale. Deep from the roots all the way through the top. Let the belly get full. Exhale. Release all the tension and relax into that. Anything that you're not holding on, take a full breath in all the way to the top and a full release out. And then just continue to tune into your rhythm, tune into your breath, and breathe. Tuning in so that you can release.
That is so good.
Get out.
Thank you so much for coming to tell us this.
Thank you.
And I wish you well. And so we have to wrap it up. So what do we say to people?
Come out and follow us on Instagram. You'll hear about our two big things coming up in September. Yoga Moves Us in Old Sacramento on Labor Day, free day of yoga. Well, you could experience all different forms of yoga in cool places. And then at Fremont Park on September 24th.
Okay. All right. That's it for today. Thank you so much for coming. Yoga. Take care of your body. And we'll see you next week.